Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something real. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling drained, small, or even angry for no clear reason? Like someone just sucked the life out of you without even raising their voice. That, my friend, is what happens when you deal with toxic people. They don't always show up loud. Sometimes they smile in your face, pretend to care, act like they're on your side, while slowly tearing down your confidence, peace, and self-worth. Now here's the truth nobody tells you. You don't need years of therapy, a dozen self-help books, or a long checklist to deal with toxic folks. Nope. Sometimes it only takes one bold move, just one clear decision. You do this thing once, and it sends a signal so strong, so powerful, that the energy vampires, the manipulators, the gaslighters, the drama makers will never look at you the same way again. In fact, they might not look at you at all because they'll be gone. This ain't about revenge. This ain't about hate. This is about protecting your peace, your purpose, and your power. And if you're tired of walking on eggshells, if you're done with feeling disrespected, and if you're ready to stop playing small around the wrong people, then keep watching. Because in this message, I'm breaking down the 6 moves that smart, strong, unshakable people use to handle toxic folks once and for all. And trust me, once you apply the first one, they'll feel it. You'll feel it. And your whole life is gonna shift. Let's get into it. Here's the expanded version of the first keynote from the speech DOCANT presented in a straightforward, powerful, and emotionally gripping style. The first thing you need to do, and I mean the very first thing, the moment you feel like someone is draining you, is set a boundary that doesn't bend. You see, toxic people thrive in confusion. They love gray areas. They live in that space where you're unsure, where you're second-guessing yourself, where you say yes when you meant no. That's their playground. That's where they manipulate, twist, guilt, trip, and guilt shame. But when you draw a line in the sand, clearly, confidently, and without explanation, it shakes their whole game. Now listen, I get it. Some of y'all were raised to be polite. You were raised to keep the peace. You were taught that saying no is rude, and standing up for yourself is too much. But that thinking, that's what keeps you trapped. That's what gives toxic people a free pass to walk all over you. That's why they call you only when they need something. That's why they interrupt you, dismiss you, and never apologize, because you've never shown them what the line is. Here's the thing, boundaries aren't walls, they're doors with locks, and you hold the key. So when you say, I'm not okay with how you spoke to me, or I'm not taking calls after 8 p.m., or even just, I don't have the energy to deal with this right now, you're not being mean. You're being clear. You're putting the weight back on them to act right, not on you to keep tolerating nonsense. And yes, they might push back. Oh, they'll test you. That's the moment of truth, because toxic folks don't get mad when they lose you. They get mad when they lose control of you. That's when they'll try to guilt trip you. You've changed. Why are you acting like this? You're being selfish. Let me tell you something. Growth will always look like betrayal to people who benefited from your silence. Read that again. You've got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, at least for a little while. That's the price of peace. That's the cost of self-respect. And when you pay it once, when you lay down that first clear boundary, when you shut down that first manipulative comment, when you ignore that bait they throw your way just to reel you into another toxic cycle, you're sending a message. You're telling them, this version of me doesn't play those games anymore. Here's the beauty of it, the right people won't be threatened by your boundaries. They'll respect them. But the toxic ones, they'll either fall off or straighten up. And either outcome, that's a win. because you didn't have to scream. You didn't have to argue. You didn't have to beg someone to treat you right. You simply took your power back by drawing the line once and meaning it. Let me be clear, you don't need a long speech. You don't owe anybody an explanation. You don't need a perfect moment. You just need a backbone and a moment of courage. Say what you mean, stand on it, and don't flinch. And the moment you do that, you'll be amazed at how fast the noise dies down, how many people stop testing you, and how peaceful your world becomes. Because here's the truth, toxic people only survive in spaces where they're allowed to. They need access to your attention, your time, your emotions. The second you cut off that supply with one solid, unshakable boundary, you starve the chaos they feed on. And just like that, they disappear. So if you've been wondering why toxic people keep showing up in your life, ask yourself this: where have I been too available to nonsense? Fix that. Draw that line. And watch what happens next. Here's the expanded version of the second keynote from the speech, DETONATE ONCA and Toxicity POPLYL and MMARBACHOIJIN. Simple, clear, and powerful. Stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. That's it. That's the move. You don't need a debate. You don't need a PowerPoint presentation. You don't need to keep laying out your heart like a map trying to show someone the route to basic decency. Because when someone wants to twist your words, when someone chooses to hear the worst in everything you say, when someone looks for reasons to be offended or dismissive, they're not confused, they're committed. And you cannot fix what they're not even trying to understand. Think about how much energy you've wasted trying to clear the air with folks who thrive in drama. Think about the nights you've lost sleep wondering if you said the right thing or if you should have said more. Think about the text messages you've rewritten 100 times trying to find the perfect wording, only for them to ignore it, misinterpret it, or throw it back in your face. That's not communication. That's performance. And you don't owe anyone a performance just to prove you're a good person. You see, toxic people love when you over-explain, because every time you do, you give them more to twist. You hand them more material to use against you. And worst of all, you start to believe that you have to explain your worth. But here's the truth: your worth isn't up for discussion. Your boundaries, your peace, your time, none of that requires a long explanation. No is a full sentence. I'm not comfortable with that is enough. I've decided to move differently. Doesn't need a follow-up paragraph. This shift, this moment when you decide you don't need their approval or understanding, is when things really start to change. You begin to realize that not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your reasons, or your growth. Some people only want to argue, not learn. Some people only want to poke holes, not build bridges. And you're not obligated to entertain that. You are not responsible for someone else's refusal to grow up emotionally. You are not responsible for making sure they get it. If all they do is gaslight, shift blame, or play victim, that's their journey. Yours is to protect your mental health, your focus, and your forward movement. Let me tell you something: strong people aren't the ones who talk the loudest. They're the ones who walk away from nonsense without making an announcement. They don't get dragged into every fire just because someone lit a match. They know their peace is more valuable than being right in the eyes of someone who's never going to see them clearly anyway. You want peace? Start by giving fewer explanations. Start by trusting your own decisions. Start by letting silence be your answer when chaos comes knocking. That's where your power is. That's when toxic people realize they can't pull you back into the mess they live in. They lose interest real quick when they realize you don't need to defend your every move. Let your actions speak. Let your life speak. Let your consistency speak. And if they don't get it, that's on them. You're not cold. You're not heartless. You're clear. And there's a difference. So the next time you feel yourself getting pulled into another round of, let me explain, stop. Ask yourself, what am I trying to prove and to who? If the answer isn't about growth, healing, or real connection, walk away. No speech, no explanation.
Just peace.
And when you do that, when you make that one move of choosing silence over explanation, you'll be shocked at how quickly the energy shifts. The toxic voices fade out. The arguments stop. The noise dies down because you finally made it clear your peace doesn't require their permission. Here's the expanded version of the third keynote from the speech. DOONCEAN TOVIX POPO we auto bevero IGARIN, written in simple, direct language without subheadings. Learn to say no and say it like you mean it. That one word, 2 letters, can be your greatest weapon against toxic people. See, toxic people are masters of manipulation. They test your boundaries like a thief checks if the door's unlocked. They don't just take what you offer, they take what you allow. And every time you say yes when your gut is screaming no, you leave that door wide open for them to walk in and mess up your peace. Let's be real, saying no is hard at first, especially if you've been taught to be the nice one your whole life. You don't want to hurt feelings. You don't want to cause conflict. But let me tell you something, constantly saying yes to others at the cost of yourself is not kindness. It's self-betrayal. And toxic people thrive on that. They know you hate confrontation. They know you'll fold if they push just a little harder. So they keep pushing. But the moment you stand up and say no with confidence, not anger, not attitude, just firmness, that's when everything shifts. You don't even have to explain. Just no, I'm not available. No, I'm not okay with that. No, that doesn't work for me. When you say it like you mean it, toxic people hear it loud and clear, and they hate it. Why? Because you're breaking the pattern. You're no longer easy to guilt trip. You're not falling for their games. You've drawn a line, and now they have to deal with it. Now, they'll test you. Don't be surprised if the guilt tripping gets worse at first. They'll act hurt, confused, maybe even angry. That's a sign you're doing something right. Healthy people respect your no. Toxic people resent it. That's how you know who's who. And the more you practice it, the stronger you get. Saying no becomes your filter. It separates those who love you from those who use you. Let's talk about what happens inside of you when you learn this power. You start to feel free, like you've taken back control of your time, your energy, your life. That constant feeling of being drained, gone. That anxiety you get every time a certain person texts you. It fades. Because now you know you don't have to answer to everyone. You get to choose who gets your yes. And when your yes becomes rare, it becomes valuable. People will start treating you differently. Not because you've become mean or cold, but because you finally respect yourself. You've stopped over giving. You've stopped saying yes just to be liked. And toxic people can't manipulate someone who knows how to say no. That's when they either change their behavior or disappear from your life. Either way, you win. You might lose some people in this process. That's okay. If your boundaries make someone leave, they weren't really with you. They were with what you gave them. Let them go. Make room for people who don't need to be told no over and over again because they already treat you with respect. And don't think you need to be loud to be powerful. A calm, confident no is louder than 1,000 angry words. You don't need to raise your voice. Just raise your standards. Let your peace speak for you. Let your boundaries speak for you. And watch how fast the drama dies down. This is how you protect yourself. Not by fighting every battle, not by proving your point, but by standing firm in your no. It's simple. It's powerful. And when toxic people realize they can't cross that line anymore, they back off. every single time. So if you're tired of the same people draining you, stressing you, using you, make that one change. Say no and don't flinch. That's when your real power shows up. That's when they finally get the message. And that's when you get your peace back for good. Here's the expanded version of fourth keynote from the speech. DETONATE written in clear, simple language without subheadings. Stop explaining yourself. That's it. That's the key. When you keep explaining, defending, and justifying your every move, every decision, and every boundary, you hand toxic people the tools to pick apart your life. You don't owe anyone a full story just to be respected. You don't need permission to do what's right for you. And once you realize that, the game changes for good. Toxic people feed off your explanations. Why? Because every time you explain, you give them an opening. You say, I can't come tonight because I've had a long week and I'm really tired. And they pounce. Well, it's just one night. You're always tired. Don't you care about me? They twist your reasons, guilt trip you, make you second guess yourself. That's how they stay in control, by pulling you into a conversation that you never needed to have in the first place. But what happens when you stop explaining? When you say, I won't be coming, and leave it at that. They're left with nothing to work with, no cracks to slip through, no words to turn against you. You show them that your choices are final, not up for debate. You show them that your time, your peace, your energy is yours to protect. And most of all, you show yourself that your decisions don't need approval. That's powerful. Now, at first, this will feel uncomfortable, maybe even rude. If you've spent your whole life trying to please people or avoid conflict, staying silent after a decision might feel cold. But it's not cold, it's clear. It's not mean, it's mature. When you stop explaining, you step into self-respect. You're not being difficult, you're being direct. And toxic people, they can't stand direct. They want you confused, unsure, apologetic. When you stop giving them that, you stop being easy to control. Let me make this plain. You do not owe explanations for your boundaries. You don't need to justify why you don't want to answer that call. You don't need to explain why you left that relationship. You don't have to provide 10 reasons why you said no to that favor. Your boundary is the reason. Your peace is the reason. That's enough. It doesn't mean you walk around being cold or distant. It means you know your limits and you protect them. It means when someone tries to cross a line, instead of arguing or defending, you calmly step back and hold your ground. You use silence as strength. You let your actions speak louder than your justifications ever could. Toxic people hate that kind of peace. They want you in the ring with them, fighting, proving, reacting. But when you stop engaging, when you stay calm, when you stop explaining, they lose their grip. They start to realize you're not the same person they used to manipulate. You've leveled up. And here's the truth: the people who truly care about you won't need explanations. They won't demand them. They'll trust your heart. They'll respect your space. They'll support your decisions even when they don't understand them fully. Because real love doesn't come with pressure. Real respect doesn't need a reason to honor your boundary. So if you want toxic people to stop bothering you, this is the shift. Stop explaining. Start standing. Speak less. Move more. Let your silence protect you. Let your no be full and final. Let your peace be loud in its quiet. Because when you stop explaining yourself, you stop shrinking to fit inside someone else's idea of you. You stop living to be accepted and you start living to be free. That's when toxic people realize they no longer have a hold on you. And that's when you start living life on your own terms. Bold, clear, and unbothered. Here's the expanded version of the fifth keynote from the speech. DETONATE, written in simple English and without subheadings. ignore their drama, just like that. Walk right past it. Because toxic people live off drama. It's like food for them. If there's no chaos, they'll create it. If there's no argument, they'll start one. And if you fall into their trap, if you take the bait, they win. But the second you learn to ignore the drama, to not respond, to not react, everything shifts. That's when their power over you starts to fade. You have to understand. Some people are addicted to emotional chaos. They feel important when there's a fight. They feel in control when you're angry or crying or stressed. That's their playground. So when you stay calm, when you stop reacting, it drives them crazy. They don't know what to do with your peace. Your silence becomes louder than their noise. And the best part, you take back control, not of them, but of yourself. Let's say someone tries to pick a fight. They say something rude. They try to get under your skin, maybe even throw in some personal jabs. You've been there before. You know the routine. The old you would fire back, argue, explain, defend, but not anymore. Now you pause, you breathe, you smile if you have to, and you walk away. That's it. No explanation, no reaction, just peace. And it's not because you're weak. It's not because you're afraid. It's because you've grown. You don't waste your time anymore. You don't hand over your peace just because someone else can't handle their own mess. You've got bigger things to focus on. Your goals, your growth, your future. And toxic people, they don't belong in that future. So why give them front row seats to your energy? Ignoring drama doesn't mean you don't see it. It means you choose not to participate in it. It means you recognize the games, but you don't play. You've seen the cycle: argue, make up, walk on eggshells, repeat. That cycle keeps you stuck. And the only way to break it is to stop responding the way you always have. Break your part in it. Choose peace over performance. Now, they won't like it. Toxic people will try harder at first. They'll push more buttons. They'll accuse you of being distant, cold, arrogant. But don't fall for it. That's just the final test. The storm always gets loudest before it passes. Keep walking, keep ignoring, keep focusing on your own lane. Because once they realize they can't shake you, they'll get bored. They'll move on. Or they'll have no choice but to change how they treat you. And you'll notice something powerful. The more you ignore drama, the more peace you attract. The more calm you choose, the more confidence you build. You stop doubting yourself. You stop second guessing. You become unshakable. And suddenly, the people around you shift too. You attract those who respect peace, who don't need drama to feel alive, who bring clarity instead of confusion. See, toxic people aren't your problem. Your reaction to them is. And that's something you can control. You don't need to argue, block, fight, or fix them. You just need to stop showing up to the drama they create. Let them have their storm. You stay in your sunshine, because when you stop dancing with chaos, when you refuse to be pulled into the same old fights, when you choose to rise above instead of sink down, that's when toxic people realize they've lost access to you. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally. They no longer have the keys to your peace. So the next time someone tries to stir up drama, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Is this conversation helping me grow? Is this bringing me peace? If the answer is no, you already know what to do. Walk away. Not because you're running, but because you're rising. And that right there is how you make sure toxic people never bother you again. Here's the expanded version of the 6th keynote from the speech. Written in simple English and without subheadings, start protecting your peace like your life depends on it. Because in many ways it does. Every single day, we wake up with a limited amount of emotional energy. That energy fuels everything: your work, your relationships, your dreams, your ability to stay calm, clear, and focused. But toxic people, They will drain that energy before the day even begins if you let them. That's why you've got to guard your peace like it's treasure, because it is. Here's the truth. Some people will never change. They don't want peace. They want power. They want control. And the more peaceful you are, the more that threatens them. They'll poke, prod, and press your buttons just to see if they can still get a reaction, if they can still get inside your head. But when you protect your peace, you stop giving them access. You shut the door. And it's not out of hate, it's out of love. Love for yourself. Protecting your peace means setting boundaries and sticking to them. It means not answering every call. It means walking away from conversations that feel like traps. It means not explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. It means choosing your own mental health over someone else's emotional chaos. And that's not selfish, that's smart. That's survival. It's like this: you wouldn't leave your front door wide open for anyone to walk in and take what they want. So why do it with your emotions? Why do it with your time, your mind, your peace? Close the door. Lock it if you have to. Not everyone deserves access to you, especially the ones who've shown you they don't respect your space. There comes a time when you realize your peace is worth more than being liked, more than keeping the peace with people who don't even like you deep down, more than fitting in with a crowd that brings you nothing but stress. When you reach that point, you stop trying to fix broken people who don't want to be fixed. You stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. You stop carrying guilt for walking away from people who were never meant to stay. It's not about cutting everyone off. It's about making smart choices, choosing who gets your time, your thoughts, your energy, choosing environments that make you feel safe and supported, choosing relationships that lift you up, not tear you down. When you start doing that, something amazing happens. Your peace becomes unshakable. And toxic people, they lose their grip on you. Protecting your peace also means learning to say no without guilt, no to drama, no to manipulation, no to being the emotional dumping ground for people who never ask how you're doing. And yes, it might feel uncomfortable at first. You might feel like the bad guy, but that's just because you're doing something new. You're choosing yourself, and that's something many toxic people don't expect you to do, but do it anyway. And here's the magic part. When you start protecting your peace, you become magnetic to the right people. People who respect your boundaries, people who value calm, kindness, honesty, people who bring peace instead of pulling you into war. You start creating a space around you that toxic people can't survive in. They can't breathe in peace. They need chaos. So they fade away quietly, slowly, naturally. So protect your peace. It's not just a nice saying, it's a way of living. It's how you stop toxic people from getting to you. It's how you take back control over your own life. Your peace is your power. Don't hand it over. Don't explain it. Don't apologize for it. Just protect it. And you'll see people who used to bother you, stress you, pull you down. They'll have no place in your world anymore. Not because you chased them out, but because you finally built a life they can't enter. One filled with calm, strength, and peace. One that belongs to you.